My herpes has me trapped in my marriage. This.
If you test positive for herpes, you are not alone. Here we learn, here we heal, and here we overcome. You are more than herpes. Welcome.
This is Herpes Anonymous, where I collect the anonymous stories of women and men and them living positively, well, who tested positive for herpes, not necessarily living positively, but those who tested positive for herpes who want to share their stories, who feel like they don't have a voice, and who are not confident enough to share their stories publicly. So this is where I share their stories for them and then give my feedback as a herpes life coach. Let's get into it. Trapped in my marriage. Okay. I was diagnosed with herpes around late 2006, early 2007. My first outbreak was on my butt. Yes, y'all, you can get herpes on your butt. You can get herpes anywhere on your body. Let's keep going. At the time, I was sleeping around a lot and I had only met the guy I caught it from about a week before we had adult therapy. He wore a condom and I still caught it. Soon after, the guy gave me another STD, so I decided to cut things off. A few months later, I met my husband. I was very insecure about revealing my status because I was embarrassed and ashamed. I told my hubby a day after we had adult therapy, and he still stayed. We've been married for 11 years now and together for 14 years and have 2 children. Sometimes I feel trapped in my marriage because of my herpes. When I first met my husband, I fell in love because he still accepted me with HSV, but he also had genital warts. He knew before we met, but he never got tested. I feel so stuck in this marriage. Thank you for everything that you do, Coach Shayna. However, I'm not confident enough to tell the world. Only my mom, sisters, and aunt know. All right. That was juicy. Put your feedback in the comment section below, and I'm going to give mine. So let's get into it. Let's start with the beginning of this letter, right? She said, at the time, I was sleeping around a lot, and I had only met the guy I caught it from a week before we had adult therapy. Let's talk about this, y'all. If we're going to be engaging in intercourse with anyone, let's start requiring to see full panel STD results before engaging in intercourse. It is so important that you know what is going on. You know what's going on with you and you know what's going on with them before engaging in adult therapy. We have to stop playing Russian roulette with STDs. I'm not saying this to judge anyone because I was someone who used to play Russian roulette with STDs, but we have to stop doing this so we can stop getting ourselves in pickle. All right, let's keep going. She said he wore a condom, but I still caught it. Now, according to herpes science, no one 100% knows where the herpes came from, okay? But let's just talk about condoms. Condoms only work if they are providing a barrier between the person's outbreak site and their partner. Herpes is passed through skin-to-skin contact with the virus's point of entry. If the condom does not provide a barrier between outbreak site and partner, then the condom will not work. And yes, you can still pass on any skin-to-skin contact STDs such as syphilis, HPV, HSV, and more, right? But if the condom does create a barrier, then the condom can be effective when it comes to transmission prevention of herpes. Let's keep going. She said, soon after, the guy gave me another STD, so I decided to cut things off. I'm not going to place judgment on anybody, so we gonna keep moving on, okay? She said, a few moments later, I met my husband. I was very insecure about revealing my status because I was embarrassed and I was ashamed. If you are ashamed and embarrassed because of your herpes, this is a clear sign that you are not ready to date. You're not ready to date because you're dating from a place of desperation. You desperately want somebody to accept you. You desperately want to be in a relationship, so much so that instead of seeking that acceptance from self, you're seeking it from other people just to fill a void. And if you were to lose that person, all of a sudden, that void, that person was there to fill, you're going to feel empty. You're going to feel lost without the person. So it's important that you learn how to fill your cup up before moving forward into relationships or developing relationships with other people. Develop the relationship with yourself. Another reason why this is a clear sign that you shouldn't be dating, the fact that she said I was very insecure about revealing my status because I was embarrassed and ashamed, is that when you disclose from that place, it shows. You got your head down, you're telling your little sad story about how you got herpes. You're saying it's okay if you don't want to be with me. You're telling them how bad it is that you have herpes. I mean, sometimes your disclosure is filled with lack of self-worth, lack of self-love, and lack of self-acceptance. Guess who's attracted to this type of person? A narcissist and manipulator. They're attracted to the fact that you lack self-acceptance, lack self-worth, lack self-love. They can use it. So you start attracting those type of people and might find yourself in a nightmare of a relationship, right? So it's important that you learn how to accept this virus for yourself. And if you're struggling with that, go to our resource hub. Your resources is in the description box below. Let's keep going. Let's get into it. So she moved forward and she said, I told my hubby a day after we had adult therapy, and he still stayed. Now, I am not an advocate for non-disclosure, but I'm also not an advocate for disclosure. I'm someone who feels like we should all have the safer adult therapy conversation, whether we have herpes or not. I feel like the how to disclose question is you asking me, how do I manipulate a person into wanting me? And I'm just not a supporter of that. Now, I say if you're feeling insecure and you're embarrassed and you're ashamed, you're not ready to date, and you need to go on a journey to learn how to accept this so that you can avoid putting yourself in a situation where you're not disclosing. I think non-disclosure is a trauma response. And a lot of people won't view a herpes diagnosis as trauma, but I think it's mental trauma, right? My opinion. And usually when people haven't done the work to accept their virus and they go into disclosure, you're filled with anxiety and worry and fear. And it's been scientifically proven that when our nervous system goes into a sympathetic state, we're stressed out about having to tell somebody about our diagnosis, we can't make clear and sound decisions. And then we find ourselves in a position when we're not disclosing our status, we're practicing fear-based celibacy, we're sabotaging relationships due to the fear of having to tell somebody, or yeah, let's stick with just those three things right now, okay? Let's keep moving. I told my hubby a day after we had adult therapy and he stayed. We've been married for 11 years together, 14 years, and have 2 kids. Sometimes I feel trapped in my marriage. When I first married my husband, I fell in love because he accepted me with HSV. Do you see that? You see the filling, the void? Her acceptance wasn't enough. So because somebody else accepted her, it filled a place in her that needed to be filled up with her love, with her acceptance, with her self-worth, right? And it wasn't. So it was easy enough for her to fall in love with her husband because he can do something for her that she couldn't do for herself, which was acceptance. Acceptance is bare minimum. I moved from a place of you have to accept all of me or you don't deserve none of me. You have to accept my herpes if you want to be with me, because my acceptance is enough and I understand that it's bare minimum. But if you don't get there with yourself, you end up meeting someone and their acceptance of your virus be the only requirement for that person to be with you. The only requirement for you to jump into bed with them. The only requirement for you to get married because you're so worried that no one else is going to want you outside of that person. Why isn't your want enough? She moved forward to say that when I first got married with my husband, I fell in love because he accepted me with HSV, but he also had genital warts. Baby, so he didn't even disclose that he had genital warts with you before engaging in intercourse. So you both didn't disclose to each other. You both are starting off this relationship with dishonesty, trauma bonding, We both got STDs. Might as well be together. Do you see that? It's probably why you feel trapped in a marriage. Probably why you feel stuck. Because you both went for bare minimum, which is acceptance of an STD, and that's it. That was enough for both of you to move forward with each other. We both didn't disclose after having intercourse. We both got an STD. We might as well stick together because who else is going to want us? The whole relationship started off based on dishonesty, lack of self acceptance, lack of self worth, and lack of self love. He knew before we met, but he never got tested. Stop marrying people and not getting full panel STD results and reviewing those full panel STD results. I was that type of person who would have unprotected intercourse based just because I trusted the vibe and I trusted the person. Let's not do that anymore. Let's not do that in 2024 and moving forward. Let's require full panel STD results. She goes, I feel so stuck in my marriage. I wonder why. Did you have a list? Did you know what you want in a marriage? Were you the person that you wanted to marry? Was the only requirement of marrying you was somebody accepting your herpes status? If you're somebody watching this, don't be her. No shade to the lady who sent her anonymous story in, but heal first. Take a break from dating. All right? Learn how to love yourself. Make your acceptance enough. Learn how to fully accept this virus so that you are dating from a place of going after what you want. Get clear on your ideal mate and go after what you want and do not settle. Instead of dating from a place of desperately wanting somebody to accept your status. Again, somebody accepting your herpes status is bare minimum. In the description box below is my email if you want to send in your anonymous story and get some feedback. And it's also the link to our resource hub if you want to join us and heal so you can avoid situations like this. I would love to know you all's feedback in the comment section. Meet me there. Like, subscribe, share. That's one way I can keep showing up in the way that I do. Have a good one.
I just want to say this too. I go to therapy and I've been in therapy for almost 3 years. And it's nothing like having someone who actually gets you on this level. So I just want to say I appreciate you. One thing that I've learned is from my own therapist is not about the actual school that teach you how to be a therapist and show up for people, is the real life experiences. So I just want to tell you thank you because this is doing so much. And so I even have therapy on Thursday before I came here, like to this group. So I just want to let you know it's certain things that we get, or I'll speak for myself, but that I can get from you that I can't get from someone else that doesn't walk and live in this world. So I just want to say I appreciate you and thank you very much.
Thank you.